Hey guys, Altcoin Sherpa here with a crypto market review. To begin this video, I would just like to really thank everybody for all the support and messages and advice and just all the kind words of encouragement when I was in the hospital for COVID. It was a very scary time where I really couldn't breathe, and a 5-step walk to the bathroom really sent me into a suffocation mode, and that was just a very eye-opening experience, and I'm just very thankful for all of the words of encouragement and support. So now I am out of the hospital, and although I am still recovering, it takes a little extra time to get up the stairs and stuff, but it's okay. I plan on continuing to recover, and I plan on continuing to trade, and I'm so excited to get back to the office and get back to trading because this is what I really love, and it's very something I very much missed. Okay, so let's go through Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin had a massive parabolic run. On Twitter, I talked about the fact that I wouldn't mind seeing Bitcoin have a larger retracement, and the reason is that I want it to form a base. And why do I want it to form a base? You'll see that every time price has a big move up, it first forms a base where big players can accumulate their positions. And generally price needs to form this base. And that was also the reason why we were able to go to 40,000 from this type of market structure in 2020 was way different than the market structure in 2017, where price went from 3,000 to 20,000. There wasn't a break here. There was no base formed. Here in 2020, you saw multiple opportunities where price formed long-term bases. And this was obviously a prime time for decentralized finance and other altcoin runs that we had over 2020, which was great. And this was these long ranging periods allowed price to consolidate and for big players to fill their bags. And the last base that we kind of saw was in 20,000. And I'm expecting, I don't know where price is going to stall out. It's possible price found a bottom now on the weekly. I don't know. But what I would like to see personally is for price to basically go ahead and form a base for its big run in later 2021. After a big move up from basically 20,000 to 40,000, 20 to 40, price generally needs time to just go ahead and chill. And you could see that in the ETHUSD chart in the summer of 2017, where price basically had to chill out after having that huge run to $300. And I think that I would like to see price consolidate. Perhaps this is the range, because I would like to see Bitcoin go to 100,000 later on in 2021. I plan on still accumulating Bitcoin overall, and this is maybe the trading range that we're going to work with right here. It could be very well, this $42,000 to $27,000 range, and price just hangs out here over the next few months, and that would be totally fine with me. Of course, there's going to be a lot of volatility and some moves, but I think that this would allow price to take a long break and to accumulate for the next run. As it stands, things look fairly bearish on lower time frame charts. You could see high sell volume, usually not great. Sell volume is dominating here. What you can also see here is, and you always want to pay attention to the wicks generally speaking, but this demand area in the $27,000 area is being tapped multiple times. And remember the principles that we talked about before and you can check my YouTube channel for support and resistance, but generally speaking, the more times that these orders are being filled, the weaker these levels get. So, you know, if this area right here, this 27 area keeps getting tapped, this area is going to fall out and demand is going to be spent up. So if that's the case, then I like this $24,000 area next up. I'm assuming there's going to be some more liquidity here. And of course, the almighty $20,000 level, you know, that's kind of the next area up. But as it stands here, you can't really say, I mean, the high time frame structure is still very bullish. I don't think that, like, you know, price is going to go to like $10,000. Of course, you never say never with Bitcoin. But as of right now, I am somewhat bearish in the short term just because this area is getting tapped multiple times. In the 27s, you know, if it visits the 27s, 28s again, I'm not so sure how much longer this area is going to hold. You know, with that said, though, there is probably going to be some liquidity in the 35,000 area that hasn't been really tapped yet. So, in my opinion, right now, this type of price action is very choppy. Unless you're an expert scalper, I would not recommend doing a whole lot of scalping. It's just very tough in general. You can see that with many altcoins, there's still good volatility and still good moves, but if Bitcoin goes, then the entire alt USD market will go too. And yeah, I mean, that. But again, you know, the context is still bullish, but in the shorter term, lower time frame context, I would be a little careful. Yeah, I'm still kind of neutral on Bitcoin in general in terms of the short term, but high time frame still bullish. Wouldn't surprise me at all if this went to, you know, the 25Ks. But I'm gonna wait until this 27 area gets tapped again, or 28K. And again, if Bitcoin does fall through this area, then I think that alt USD values will suffer. Okay, so let's go to ETHUSD. ETH, in my opinion, looks way better than Bitcoin. It still hasn't broken its all-time high level convincingly. I do think that eventually this will break this 1400 area. I mean, it's, you know, close above on high time frame charts. There is still sell liquidity up here, but it's also going to follow Bitcoin as well, in the sense that if Bitcoin does pull back, I believe that Ethereum will also pull back, just not as much. But ETH looks fantastic on high time frame charts. I mean, you can't say anything about this. I think that it's almost inevitable this goes to $2,000. It seems just very likely given the context, and, you know, we can pull out the fib extensions and all that, but it just seems very likely that this will go even higher. The sell side liquidity here, though, in the 1400s, this is getting tapped. So again, same concept that we talked about before. These orders are all getting filled in this area. So you can call it resistance or supply zone or whatever you want to call it, but I think that these sellers are getting tired. With that said, everything does follow Bitcoin in this market, so if Bitcoin does pull back, then I expect ETH to also pull back as well. 1,000 was obviously the great psychological number and a fantastic entry for ETH USD, but in general, like, it still looks pretty good. It looks still better, in my opinion, than Bitcoin does, and I am expecting ETH to hit 2000s eventually. But you know, again, same deal as I said before. If Bitcoin does pull back, then I expect this to also pull back as well. ETHBTC looks really, 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 really good. I cannot emphasize this enough, how strong this one looks. it's arguably been in, you know, the same consolidation range for since 2018. But I mean, it's pretty much thin air up until 0.05. And look at this insane volume coming in. Once ETHBTC like starts to go really hard, I believe that other ALTBTC values are going to go very hard as well. And the time to start trading in ALTBTC values are probably right now. It's like it's a good time to like really accumulate if you haven't already. It just looks really strong to me. I mean, this last breakout in the 0.037 area in August, I mean, obviously ETH failed to break out at that point, but like given how many times this area has been tapped, I mean, there's just like not many sellers left in these areas just because you're just seeing it tapped over and over and over again. So I think it's very likely that this goes to 0.05 and increase in BTC value. And obviously, if that area can break, then there's even higher areas after that. But I mean, the volume is fantastic. ETHBTC looks really good. Litecoin also looks fairly strong as well, but it's pulled back from this weekly level at 170, and that's fine. I mean, this is still a very strong chart in my opinion. It's gonna take some time to work through that sell liquidity, but generally speaking, I think that price will range a little bit more and then test it again. It still might take some time, but overall, Litecoin is still very strong in my opinion. Trying to figure out. I mean, you can use a fib if you want to find some levels of entry. Oh, YPIT. This is still kind of choppy though, so I mean, like, I wouldn't rush into a position for Litecoin personally, but it still looks good. Still might take time though. Like, you know, I don't think you have to rush into a position. And similar to Bitcoin too, like if Bitcoin goes lower, then Litecoin also will follow. So, okay, let's go to my favorite, not my favorite, but this is one of everyone's favorite, Link. Here's my fib extension. And here, this was actually the top at $25, the short-term top. Fib extension, I mean, this is a fantastic looking chart in general. Price accumulated in this range for months on end. And I don't think it accumulated for this long for a coin as strong as Link. Just to go from, you know, $12 to 25. I think there's more left in the tank for Link. Here's my fib extensions, $28 to $30. It seems very, very possible. As it stands here, I mean, price is currently at this fib support. Wouldn't surprise me to see it go a little lower, to be honest, but in general, I mean, Link is just incredibly strong. If I were looking for entry, $20 would be pretty decent if it comes. And again, I keep emphasizing this, but altcoins will follow Bitcoin in general. So for the alt USD pairs, that is. So if Bitcoin goes lower, then altcoins will too. LINKBTC also very strong. This, you know, accumulated from December all the way for a month in January. And I expect many altcoin BTC values to kind of look like this chart, where you see a rounded bottom reversal or a V-shaped reversal, depending on the context. Something like FTM is very bullish in a V-shaped reversal. And this is what I expect to start seeing, though, for many of these ALGOBTC values. There's still a lot of resistance here coming up, but ALGOBTC values run very hard, and I think it's very, very likely that this will break up to these higher levels fairly shortly. So, yeah, very bullish on Link in general. SUSHI, I traded this one. I thought this was a very bullish coin. This right here was a big inefficient move that eventually gets filled out. This 880 area is going to be the next level up. I think it seems inevitable that this level gets tapped. There will be some sellers in that area, in my opinion. But overall, it just still looks really strong. Like a trade setup that you could have taken here is just buying this breakout. And this area right here, I mean, this was just like a resistance area. But again, the more times that resistance gets tapped, the weaker that level gets. So overall, it's just still looks really good. For SUSHI, I mean, I don't know in terms of like an entry. It just still looks really strong. I'm guessing there's still going to be sellers though in this 880 area, and it is moving strong right now too. So DOT is another example too of something that looks really strong, and this other setup is kind of similar to SUSHI in the sense that this area is a resistance area, but again, it's like, look how much time price is hanging out here, and all these orders are getting they're getting filled. So in my opinion, like, it's not a bad idea to consider averaging into positions even though you are at resistance here. Could it hit 15? Of course. But I think that this overall context of the chart, I mean, is still highly, highly bullish. I mean, price hung out again in this consolidation for months on end here and accumulated, and now it's basically expanding. So personally, I think I'm very bullish on DOT in 2021, and I do have a DOT bag, and I think averaging into position is still pretty good here, in my opinion. YFI, I just wanted to highlight too, this is kind of what a V-shaped reversal looks like on the ALGOBTC pairs. This is kind of what I expect in general for many ALGOBTC pairs. And yeah, it's just a very rapid expansion, rapid reversal. This is not something you see as much in ALT-USD pairs, but more ALT-BTC pairs. So this is kind of the context that I expect for many ALT-BTC pairs soon. It's going to be very bullish, in my opinion. Uni, same thing as SUSHI. I mean, this is still incredibly bullish. Anything I can really say about this. I mean, here's again a setup. Here was the resistance area. It's the same exact thing that we saw back for DOT and SUSHI. Resistance area, and it just gets tapped over and over and over. And as these, as these orders are getting tapped, the level gets weaker and weaker, and then price broke through. So, yep, I mean, these are similar charts, but here's RSR. I do not have a bag of RSR. This is like a fanatical community, but it still looks pretty good in general. But not really much to say. It's just choppy price action right now. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see this continue to ping pong in this area and then expand after that. It's really not much to say about this coin. It's still, I expect this one to pump very hard given its community, but it still might take time. EGLD, this was obviously a fantastic chart before, and here is my fib from the entire range, but obviously price is now broken it. I'm neutral on this. It looks good. It's still bullish, and you could find a setup like this, in my opinion. You could buy the breakout of $40, but just know that it could still take some time. You know, it could still take time for this to work through the sellers. So, I mean, to be frank and honest with you, most people will probably make more money just buying and averaging into positions over the next few months and holding a good core position and not actively trading. But, and myself included, I'll probably make more just for my spot positions than I would actively trading. But you know, it's okay. Like it's still, I still want to keep learning and getting better. But EGLD is still bullish. It just might take some more time. But a breakout, I mean, like a setup that I would take is just buying the breakout probably. Breakout and retest. But the problem is its invalidation is kind of hard to determine where. Like this would be a good invalidation level below 36, but you don't know where your target is, so I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's other charts out there. Cover, don't know what this is. I actually kind of know, but I mean, it's not much to say about this type of chart, really. It's just, I don't know what to say about this chart. It's just there. There's no analysis I can give. It's this, yeah, it's massive wick. You could maybe like wait for a break of $650. That, I guess, would be my plan, but this chart is choppy and I have no idea what to really think of it, so sorry. Fetch looks strong. This looks strong. It's pulling back now, but you could see it having a rounded bottom, and yeah, this looks good. Not much to say about this one. Obvious SR level here at 10. Wouldn't surprise me if this does go a little lower, but 0.07 might be okay. But yeah, still looks fine. And one other note too is with FET doing well, or relatively speaking, it might be coins always move in classes, of course, as I said before. So make sure you understand, like, if coins like FTM are doing well, then other IEO coins might do well too. And just understand the relationships between them, like SOL and SRM. That's another one. Or you know, the majors in Bitcoin. That's another one. XRP, XLM. There's tons of these types of relationships where coins generally move. SUSHI and UNI. UNI, you know? Like it's pretty obvious. So just understand the relationships and you'll see that some coins move together in classes based on market cycle or FA or some other stuff. Cardano looks pretty good. Not too much to say about this one. I would wait for a break of 38 before buying. Seems likely. Another return to like, you know, these 0.0 or 0.32 or whatever areas also. And there's also some like, I'm guessing there's like still some inefficiencies to be filled here. So price could very well make it down here too. No biggie, but overall it still looks good. BZRX, don't know what this is, but it looks pretty strong in general. This right here was a obvious resistance area that price tapped supply zone, and I'm guessing that price will eventually creep in it and then break up. And these types of setups are pretty good too, because generally speaking, there's like a lot of clean air. You know, this is like this area usually likes to get filled out. So price will like to trade in these areas from 40 cents to 45 cents. So you can generally have a high probability trade once you know, these resistance areas get tapped. So that's my plan for BZRX if I were to trade this. ICX, this looks like a messy chart. Looks good, I guess. I mean, all coins look good. Resistance, same kind of areas. And I expect this area to be also resistance as well coming up around $1. But yeah, this looks good still. I mean, what's there to say? Volume coming in still looks nice, and yeah, expecting $1 to be a resistance area. Similar to other altcoins, I wouldn't be surprised at all just to see this kind of hang around a little bit and then go up. DIA, this looks good. Very strong volume coming in right now, and it broke this area, this 182 area, and this was a clear resistance area that held price down several times in the past. So the next area of liquidity, in my opinion, would be like 270. Yeah, so I'm bullish on this. Like a good entry, in my opinion, would be like 100 or 182 or so. This would be like a pretty solid entry, and I'm sure there's some EMAs that reflect that. Easy ETH. I thought this was accumulating before, but it really was not. It just looks not very good. It is in accumulation mode maybe now. You can argue that. But, and you can see a change in participation a little bit with the buy volume. That's how you kind of can tell sometimes on accumulation, but again, it kind of, you saw the same thing a little bit here in the same context where there was decent buy volume, but you know, price still broke down. So just like any other alt USD or alt BTC or alt ETH pair, it just depends on what you are comparing it to. And in this case, Ethereum was really strong, so thus the easy ETH price declined quite a bit. I don't really know what to say about this. I mean, this, I would expect a rounded bottom and then go up. XLMBTC, this one is having a, again, this is what a V-shaped reversal looks like. But hopefully it's more sustained for most of these other coins. This one obviously has the same relationship with Ripple, so because of that, I think that XLM probably suffered a little bit. But this is the type of V-shaped reversal that you want to see. Overall, though, it looks okay. It doesn't look great. Doesn't look bad. It's just there. Sat in this range for months and years. And the good thing, I think, is that this one area, I can't read, 1,000 Satoshis, 1,200 sats. Once this area breaks, it'll be good. And the volume still is pretty nice on the weekly, but could still take some time. ARKBTC looks not so good, but I expect this to reverse soon. Decent buy volume coming in right now, which is different than the previous few months. I'm expecting this to just have a V-shaped reversal. And you could maybe argue too that stuff like this was just like accumulating, But this is also a good reason why you shouldn't bag hold. Like if you bought in August 2019 for this coin, your money was just sitting here for like years. And it didn't do anything really. This is a good reason why you don't want to like keep your bags for years, or even months. Sometimes months. I have some bags for months, but opportunity cost is significant. I expect this to have a V-shaped reversal and then go up. KNC looks good. Really strong volume coming in right now. Look at like that's insane volume. Would not surprise me to see this go higher. I mean, all the sell liquidity in this area got tapped multiple times, and you can see price wicking up too. So these sellers are probably getting tired. And another note is that this was an inefficient move here. It's right here. So this will get filled out eventually more. So, and I fully expect this to make its way up to the near $2 mark. In which case, there will be a first reaction, so like decent shorting opportunity. But I wouldn't like expect this to like have a massive retrace. I would expect this to like have resistance and then grind down a little bit and then find some support wherever and then break up. I mean, it should almost certainly break $2. Luna looks really strong. Don't know what to say about this. Strong volume coming in. Choppy price action. I mean, I wouldn't recommend scalping something like this unless you're good. But I don't really know what to say. This looks pretty good in general, but still could take some time to work through the sell liquidity. 75 cents would be a decent entry. Algo looks really pretty solid. And I like the volume coming in. This looks more like a rounded bottom reversal that will come. And yeah, this still looks good. The USD pair looks good too, but I don't want to pull it up. This was like the floor before with Algo. And, this range low after it fell through the 2200 sats area. But the nice thing about this chart is that the levels are pretty clean in general. Like there's some very obvious areas of support and resistance. So that's going to be nice to trade later on. But overall, yeah, I'm bullish on Algo. Probably would be, again, for most people, just easier just to buy and hold it. Solana looks good. I was conflicted on this one because of the tokenomics. So, but Sam pumped it, so what's there to say? Don't bet against Sam. It looks pretty good in general. Here, like the obvious sell side liquidity around $4 is here, but it wouldn't surprise me at all to see this broken. These areas are getting tapped repeatedly, and I think it seems likely that this hits the 470 mark. And you can tell too with the way that price, spiked down. It grabbed a lot of liquidity, in these areas here. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see this break higher. This could be a good trade setup, a break of 375. CRV, this one looks pretty good. And I will disclaim that I bought this morning. Here was the sell side liquidity here around 220. And I do realize I bought at resistance, but the nice thing is that I still think this looks good. Like, look at the super strong volume coming in, and well, I mean, here's my trade setup. The profit target was not correct. Obviously, I just kind of did that, but yeah, I mean, this is I still think that CRV looks pretty good in general. ONEBTC again. ALTBTC pairs. ALGOBTC pairs will also have V-shaped reversals, and this one it's kind of like a rounded a little bit, but I think this will continue to grind up and do well, especially with other IEO coins doing well too. Fairly neutral, but I mean, once this breaks this range low at 25 Satoshis, I think it'll be pretty good. So anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. It felt great to review coins. Again, thank you once again for the support. I look forward to doing more of these market reviews, and good luck.